Hey everyone, thanks again for tuning in. This is another segment, another show of Coffee Around the Globe, where I get the opportunity to have a discussion with other basketball like-minded people around the globe. I hope you've enjoyed this conversation. Hope you enjoy this conversation as well as others, as I've had throughout the previous weeks. As you know, this is camp week again. So last week was awesome, and this week we started up today. And so to start up, we wanted to give something special to the campers, and so we have another interview today, more like a discussion, but about basketball, faith, with a guy named Mike. He's 23 years old, currently living in New Jersey. Mike is an assistant coach at one of the top high schools in the country, Bergen Catholic, and in addition to coaching at this at this high school, he also works with Hoop Dreams, as well as having his own personal basketball development training business. So let me introduce you to him. As you see, it's Mike. Mike, how you doing today?
What's up, Andrew? How you doing, bro?
Good, good. Glad to have you on the call. I'm glad that we got to schedule a time to get you here. I know you a lot of training that you're doing right now, especially during COVID. Have you been able to train a lot during this time?
Yeah, the past 3 months have been super busy. It was kind of slow in like March and April, but the past 3 months I've basically been working every single day, so it's been pretty good.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, like I said, super glad to have you on here. I know some of the kids that are probably watching this remember you from overseas last couple of summers, and let's just jump right into it. You're a special guest, one of the guests that we had that played Division I basketball, and it's super cool to know someone that has a lot of talent like you have, that also has a relationship with Jesus. So again, appreciate it. Maybe share a little bit about your basketball experience growing up and how you even got to Division I basketball.
For sure. So I grew up in northern New Jersey. So for the people who are kind of overseas in Europe and Asia, wherever they may be, I live like very relatively close to New York City. I'm only like 10 miles away from New York City. So I live just outside the city, on the New Jersey border. So that's where I grew up. I went to high school at a school called Bergen Catholic. That was really, really good basketball school, and it's where I coach now. So I'm working where I went to high school, which is a cool experience. And it was a high-level program there. And I was, as a player, I was on a good team, and I started and I played for a really good program. But I wasn't really a Division I level player. In my junior, my senior year of high school, I was more of like a Division II or Division III. So when I went to college, I went and I was a walk-on. So for the people who don't know what a walk-on is, it's in America, I think it's each Division I program, which is the highest level of college basketball. They have 13 players who are on scholarship. That means they go to school for free. And then most teams have 2 or 3 other players on the roster who are paying their tuition. So I was one of those 2 or 3 guys who was paying his way through school. And eventually by my senior year, I worked my way up on the team where I was actually put on scholarship. So that was a really cool experience for myself and my family, obviously, saving some money. The experience itself was super, super cool. Played at a high-level high school, had the opportunity to be a part of a high-level program in America, playing college basketball in Philadelphia for one of the better Division I programs in the country. I played for a coach by the name of Phil Martelli, who was, in 2004, he was the National Coach of the Year in All America. One of the most well-known coaches in the United States and a legend in Philadelphia. So that was a super cool opportunity. And I had a lot of teammates who I played with who went on to play in the NBA and they're still in college, but they're got a bunch of guys who are going to end up getting into the NBA. So that was a cool experience. And right after college from there, I just went right to news release and went on a tour there last summer as a coach/player because of injuries. So I started playing about halfway through the tour. So that was super cool.
Awesome. I bet you were not expecting to play, but it was also
No.
probably a blessing to play at the same time, right?
Yeah, it wasn't part of the plan. I was hoping I was just going to get to coach, but I just suited up in Spain, and then in Belgium we played. So
yeah, and we actually met up in Belgium, right? Because we were on 2 different tours. Where
Yeah.
was your tour? What cities were you a part of, and what was the experience for you in general as a person?
So I went on the tour. I think it was men's team A. So we had a 1 week training camp in Colorado. It was myself and the women's team was also at that training camp. So there was about 14 or 15 of us in total, and we were in Colorado for a week of training camp just outside of Denver. And then from there, my team, we spent 1 week in Iraq, Germany, which was a super cool experience. That was my first time in Europe. And it was really my first time doing anything like that where I'm staying with a host family. So totally on my own that first night. It was kind of nervous, I guess. Didn't really know what to expect. You know, I mean, at that point I'd been out of the country, but it's definitely a different experience when, you're spending a night with someone who you just met, an hour ago. So I was a little nervous about that, but it ended up being awesome. I love my host. I'm still in touch with him now and everything. We had a great experience there. I love that. I loved that week of camp. They were super passionate about what we did, and if I'm right, I think News Release has a long relationship with Iraq. That wasn't like their first time, so they've been going there forever. So it's pretty cool to see, local kids wearing News Release stuff when we got there, and remembering different guys who had been on tour before. So that was cool. And then the second week we went to Malaga, Spain, which was a bit of a curveball because initially men's team made the plan. If I remember correctly, back in April of 2019, the plan was we were going to be in Germany for both weeks. And then I'm not sure what happened logistically, something changed. And I got an email from Steve, I guess it was like in May of 2019. He's like, "Oh, we're going to Spain." And he's like, he's like, we won't get to be in Germany for 2 weeks. He's like, "We're gonna have to go to Spain." I'm like, "Oh, we get to go to Spain." So I was pretty excited. I mean, for like a 23-year-old, it's like the more countries I can check off the box, the better. And then Spain was beautiful. It was super, super cool because there was no real News Release foundation there. There wasn't really a set camp. We had one guy on the ground there who's actually a missionary, and I believe he was on a News Release tour a few years ago, or maybe longer than that, but his name was Ryan Andrews. And he was kind of our guy on the ground there. But it was different than other tours and trips and everything because we didn't stay with host families. We all stayed together in this one house, which was super cool. It was kind of a different experience because it gave us the opportunity and the guys to kind of, spend a lot of time together. I mean, we were with each other 100% of the time. And then the camp was awesome, something I loved because there was no camp, really. It started with, Ryan knowing 3 or 4 kids in the local area, and we invited them to come to the park on a Monday, and we did drills with them. And it grew from Monday to Friday from being like 4 kids putting through drills to, that Friday camp, we had about 26 kids there, and they were coming to our games at night. And to kind of see it grow like that and see the impact over those 5 days was super cool. And even though all those kids were so awesome in Spain, I mean, they're still, connecting with us on Instagram and Twitter and all that stuff. So it's cool to see, we were able to kind of leave a little impact there. And I think that's another place where I would love to go back to. I think there's a great opportunity to grow there in all aspects because the kids were so receptive to what we were having to say in regards to, the guys' personal testimonies when we talked about our faith. And they were very intrigued with the basketball aspect of it and the teaching that they were getting and the instruction. And then we played 3 really, really good teams. I think the teams in Spain were I played a very good team in Belgium with you, but there were a couple teams in Spain that could really play too. There were guys who I actually knew on the other teams who played Division I college basketball in America, and they were playing professionally over in Malaga. So it was high-level competition. So I think that whole combination of knowing really good people over in Malaga, the kids want to be a part of the camp. It's a beautiful place, and there's good competition. I think it would be a great place to go back to. And then finally, it was the extension tour where most of my team left, and it was just Jordan, myself, and AK. And we met up with you guys in a big group of your team. And then Belgium was awesome too. I love Belgium. The camp there was super cool. Definitely more structured than what we were running into at Spain. So different in that regard. We were inside. There already was a program established there. We were kind of just helping out, which was cool. And then the people there were just so, I mean, you could attest to this too. They're just so nice. I mean, they were so excited to have us, and they wanted to spend time with us. And, they were taking us out at night. We were going bowling, and we go to restaurants and bars and stuff. And I still have a very good I still have a really good relationship with my host family there. They were really good people. So yeah, it was Belgium, Spain, and Germany. That was my tour.
Okay, yeah, I appreciate that. That's 3 cities in 3 different countries. It must have been a great time for you,
Yeah,
especially
cool.
as your first time in Europe.
Yeah.
Talking more on the basketball side, coming from college, coming from not only college but Division I basketball, right? And then going to Europe and playing against a lot of tough teams. How would you explain the differences between Europe and American basketball? I know a lot of youth in Europe want to go play college ball. Do you think they're good enough? Do you think they actually understand that Division I basketball is like it's a job, right?
For sure.
Maybe what's your opinion on that?
I mean, it's 100% possible. I mean, the high school that I went to in the past 5 years alone, we have a lot of international kids. So, I mean, we've had kids come in from Africa and Europe. And my year, we've had 3 players actually come from Italy, 3 different parts of Italy, and all 3 of them went on to play Division I college basketball. They all got scholarships. One, Columbia, Ivy League. Another one went to school with me at St. Joseph's, and then another guy went to Eastern Michigan. So it's definitely possible. I don't think it's like, oh, well, Americans are much better at basketball at the youth level than, these countries in Europe. I think it's different. It is a lot of work. Just from my experience of coaching and playing for that short period of time, I guess it was 3 weeks I was in Europe doing that. I think, there's talented players. It's a different style of basketball. It's more, I would say from a professional standpoint, because a lot of the guys we were playing against were professionals, it would almost seem more team-oriented than in the NBA. Now, obviously, NBA guys are super, super talented. That's the best of the best. But, like, we were playing some guys from, like, Malaga and 3 teams down there. And, there's a real emphasis on ball movement, guys moving without the basketball. They like to shoot it. All the guys can shoot it 1 through 5. They really space the floor. I think at the college level, it's similar. It depends what coach you play for. All coaches have different systems and everything. But, yeah, there's differences and similarities. And like I said, I played against guys when I was in Spain who I recognized from America who played college basketball. So, and there's guys who play professionally too. So, yeah, there's definitely a possibility to go from Europe to America and get that Division I scholarship. And then, but it is a lot of work, just from my experience. I wouldn't say it's a job because I guess it is a full schedule, but if you can manage your time and prioritize and everything, between, obviously academics, because you're taking a full course load as a student athlete, and then, in season and out of season as a Division I player, there's workout and practice requirements and everything. And, you're a kid, so there's an aspect of, a social life where you want to be able to have friends and relationships and, go out and do stuff like that. Fortunately for me, by the time I was a junior or senior, I figured that out pretty well, how to prioritize and manage my time. I wasn't very good at it my freshman year, and that's why I struggled.
I don't think anyone is at their freshman year.
Yeah, it kind of hits you right in the face. But, yeah, I think, it's just – there's just little things that go into it, waking up early, making sure you're getting enough sleep, taking care of the hard stuff in the morning, making sure your homework is done, making sure you're prepared for a class, showing up to class with the stuff that you need to be successful that day. I think it's all super, super connected. It's like the way you do one thing is the way you do anything. So if I'm sloppy at practice, I'm probably going to be sloppy, in the classroom with an assignment, and my bedroom's probably going to be messy. But if I learn to just tighten up my bedroom in the morning, and I think that'll translate from how I'm going to prepare for a test. And then if I'm organized for this test, now I'm going to be organized for practice, and I got to make sure my locker's clean, and I want to make sure I'm eating clean. And once you just focus on, tightening up one aspect of your life and you just kind of chip away at it, everything seems to kind of fall into place. But if you're just lazy and disorganized in one aspect, that's when it really turns into a job and you're just hustling all over. trying to get stuff done, and you're always playing from behind. But by like my junior and senior year, I kind of figured it out, managing everything, and I was able to have a social life. I was able to have really good friends who I'm friends with now, and I was able to excel academically. Get on the honor roll my final 4 semesters, which was really, really good. And then just been able to contribute as best I could with the basketball program. So yeah, it's a job. It's hard, but it's possible. It takes a lot of work, but it's something that's definitely attainable if you put the time in.
Yeah, for sure. That's good words, because everything, it tends up to connect to one another, right? Not only people, but like what you said, what you do in the morning affects what you do in the evening.
Yeah.
Simple as that may sound, it's also as hard as it sounds for some people. But yeah, let me pause you there and just ask you. You touched a little bit on it. What does a normal day for a Division I player look like? Like right when you wake up, talk to us like a normal day in college and in school with training and basketball. What does that look like?
I mean, I could walk you through mine, I guess, because everyone's is kind of a little different. But like my senior year specifically, I needed a job. I was looking for a job my senior year because I'm not getting paid to play college basketball, and I wasn't making any money anywhere else. So I had to find some sort of job. So my whole senior year, I think it was my junior year too, I don't remember. I know it was definitely my senior year. I actually worked for the housekeeping at the university. So basically I was a custodian my senior year of college. I would wake up every day at around 5:45, and I'd get to school at 6:30, and I would clock in, and from 6:30 to 8 or 8:30, depending on what my schedule was that day, I would walk around the university library, the freshman dorms, and the business school. And I would take out all the trash from the night before. I'd bring all the trash down to the trash rooms, and then I would reline all the trash cans. So I don't think any other Division I college basketball player was doing that, but that was what I was doing. I think I'd get $15 every morning, 15 to $20 every morning, and it would equate to about, maybe $100 at the end of the week. And it was just nice to have an extra $100 direct deposit. So, I mean, that's how I started my mornings, and it was 6 to 8 every day. And then I typically would have class somewhere between 8:30 to 12:30, 9 to 1, 9 to 2. We kind of set up our schedule so it wouldn't interfere with our basketball practice. So I'm going from, lining the garbage cans, which isn't the most attractive job, but I didn't mind it because nobody's up at that point. I like being up early. I really didn't have anyone telling me what to do. I had no boss who was like monitoring me. So I kind of could just throw my headphones in, do my job. It was peaceful, honestly, walking around campus at 6, 7, 8 in the morning when nobody's really up yet. So that was my job. I'd head to class from 9 to 1. I would take care of business there. And just like I said, everything's connected. So with the class standpoint, it was like, and this was a transition that I made from my freshman to my senior year. Like my freshman year, I went from sitting in the back of the room to my senior year. It's front of the room, as close to the teacher as you can get, asking questions. And that's super important to any of the kids who are listening. Get in the front, get in the front. There's less distraction. The closer you sit to the teacher, the less distraction there will be between you and the information that the teacher has that you need to pass the class. So I would always make sure I sat in the front, and it would never be an issue because nobody ever wanted to sit in the front. So there's always a seat in the front. So from 9 to 1, I'd sit in front of a teacher. I'd take notes. No computer for the most part. There'd be some class where I use a computer, but generally speaking, I try to write notes, limit the distraction, and all that stuff kind of equated to my grades going up significantly. So 9 to 1 was all academics. And typically at that point, I'd probably get some food in me. Like a Division I program, we're very fortunate, so we have all our meals provided for us. So I would go to the arena where we practice and play. I eat, and then at that point, it's like 2 o'clock. I'm in the arena till 6, 7 o'clock at night doing basketball stuff. That might some days that might mean I have a lift in a small group at 2 o'clock with our strength coach, and from 2 to 2:45, I'm doing an upper body or lower body lift. That might mean I'm seeing a trainer to do physical therapy. I had 2 hip surgeries in college, so I had a bunch of physical therapy I had to do. Typically, we're on the court practicing at 3 o'clock, 3:30. Practice starts at 3:30. That means you're kind of on the court at 3 o'clock. that's another thing for the kids who are listening. Like, if your practice starts at 3, you're on the court at 2:30, getting shots up, working on stuff that you might be struggling with, working with an assistant coach, getting shots up, working with the manager, working on your weak hand. Practice goes for another 2 hours. A lot of times guys stay after and get shots up. We have film typically before or after a game. So we're in the film room with the coaches, going over film for about half an hour. And all that stuff lasts from about 2 to 6:30, 2 to 7 o'clock, give or take a half hour on some days. But basically it's basketball time from like 2 to 7. Once practice film, all that stuff is over, we have a team meal every day after practice. So they feed us, which is super good, which is super cool. So I was fed all my meals in college, which was so awesome. And trying to think, so we would eat, and that puts me at 7 o'clock. And to be quite honest with you, this is probably what's going to surprise a lot of people. I got pretty good with my time management and my studying and preparing and focusing so much in class that I really wasn't one of those kids in college who was at the library till 1 a.m. I wasn't one of those kids who was, staying up at my desk till 12 o'clock studying for a test. I found that by just sitting in the front and just by being engaged during that 45-minute class and asking questions and being an active learner, an active listener, an active participant in the class, I process information better. The studying thing, at least for me, it was like my freshman and sophomore year when I wasn't paying attention in class, when I was on my computer in class, and it's like, oh, now I have an exam, I have to study for it, and I don't know what I was doing because I was sitting in the back on ESPN.com the whole time. So now I have to go to the library till 1 a.m. and study. So I really wasn't a big studier post practice at night. Now obviously you may have homework once in a while. I would take care of that stuff. But I wouldn't spend more than an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours, maybe if you have to write a paper or something. But for the most part, I would try to be home at my apartment or my house with the guys who I lived with by 8 or 9 o'clock. And basically those final hour or two of the day is kind of just like that unwind time where I could hang out with my friends. We'd watch TV. We all were big sports fans. So in the fall, we'd watch football, basketball, baseball, all that stuff. So I kind of configured my day where I take care of stuff in the morning early. I'm present in class. I'm not, my head's not in the gutter. I'm focused on what's going on. I'm building a relationship with the teacher. I'm asking questions, and that's kind of why I had the opportunity to improve my grades. And then just at practice, give it all you got, just max it out, work as hard as you possibly can, and just let the chips fall where they may. So that was kind of my schedule my senior year, and that's kind of what my preparation looked like.
Yeah, and like you said, every person, every college athlete, every program, it looks a little bit different, right?
For sure.
But there's only so much you can do in 24 hours because in the States, especially in college, sports, basketball, for this example, and school are together. In Europe and other places in the world, that's not the case. So they break it up. You got sports, and you got school, and you got home life, and in college, university, it's completely all together. So time management is the key.
For sure.
You gave a lot of tips for those watching. Watch that part again because it's definitely valuable things that he just said. So I appreciate that. I'm kind of switch gears for a second with the next question. For you, life was also a little bit different than others because your faith. I know talking to you and knowing you the last couple of years that your faith plays a big and important role in your life. Kind of explain how does basketball and how does faith, how does those two combine?
For sure.
A lot of people put those in boxes, but in your opinion, are they in the same box? Share with us.
For sure. I know I had the opportunity to kind of share my story, if I remember correctly, with you guys. I know I did with my Team A, but I don't know if I did with the Extension Tour guys. But I grew up in a Christian home, so I grew up with, going to church. Both my parents Christian, and that's how I was raised and everything. But when I got to college, I was a very surface level Christian. I think that's kind of the best way to put it. With playing college basketball, having friends, living in the city, I tended to get distracted, and I kind of pushed that stuff aside. I heard a saying, I don't know who said it, but it was some pastor. He said, if they were to arrest me for being a Christian, I don't think there would have been enough evidence to convict me of it. And, sometimes that's how I felt when I was living in college in hindsight. It wasn't until like my senior year, I just kind of felt like urge in my heart where I had to kind of get back to the word and everything. And that's kind of what led me to my past summer of, doing missions in Europe with News Release and going to Africa. I felt like I was really, really living a shallow life in college. I mean, I was a Christian, but I think the one thing with me, as a Christian, when I was in college is I would try to like rationalize like my sin, and I'd be like, well, I got grace in my back pocket, so I can just repent and I'll be all right. And I know it's wrong, but whatever. Everybody else is doing it. It's not a big deal. So I was a very shallow, kind of surface level Christian for the majority of my college experience, I would say. So, it's not something I regret though, because, looking back on it, I feel like if I was, I don't know, I'm just happy with how things played out for me personally. I have a unique story just because I really felt like God kind of called me my senior year, like that beginning of my senior year. He wanted me to kind of change my direction, and I felt called to go to Africa. And then I met Steve when I was in Minnesota, and he was really pushing me to do News Release. And, out of nowhere, I went from this kid who said he was a Christian, but really no evidence of it my first 3 years of college to, I'm signed up to go on, 2 months worth of mission trips and lead teams and do all this different stuff right after I graduated college. So, just from my experience alone last summer, my faith is now, it's the center, it's the priority of my life, without a shadow of a doubt. It's the most important thing. And then in terms of connecting that with basketball, I just feel like now, basketball is the tool or the vessel that, or the gift that God has blessed me with. And now I can use that as an opportunity to honor him and honor God and share my story. And, that's something that you guys talk about a lot. That was something I remember Jordan, for those of you who know Jordan, who's an awesome dude, and Rico, who I know is on this last week, who's another awesome dude. And it's, worship and evangelism isn't always, just knocking on somebody's door and, reading the Bible and going to church. And it's like sometimes you can use your gifts that God has blessed you with to honor him and share your story of, how God met you somewhere in your life and how he saved you and helped you. So, so now as a coach, I'm no longer playing, but I try to keep that at the foundation of, everything I'm doing. We're not perfect. I'm not perfect. I make my mistakes. But, I definitely have such an awesome sense of peace the past year since I like I said, I accepted Jesus as my Lord and Savior when I was a kid, but I really feel like I recommitted my life to the Lord last summer back in June. And, since then I just feel so at peace, even amongst all this chaos that's taking place in our world right now, because I know who's in me. So, now I'm super excited to use basketball and my story, my testimony to spread the gospel. So.
Yeah, man. Everyone has different stories, so we're just grateful. Thankful to God that we were able to play a role, play a piece, in your story. And we all have different stories, and we all need each other to complete
Sure.
those stories, right? And so, awesome. Thanks for sharing that for a lot. And also going along with your faith, you kind of mentioned a little bit about it, but what has God something cool stirred up in your heart, right?
Yeah.
Share that. I would love that everyone can hear about that.
Yeah. So before I went to, I went to Colorado for training camp, and then Europe with News Release. I spent the 2 weeks prior, I think it was the last 2 weeks of June, I was in Kenya on a mission trip. And that was something that kind of totally came out of left field. Really, had no experience doing anything like that before in my life. And I kind of went into that trip with, I guess, almost fear. And I didn't really know why I was there. In hindsight, I realized that's where God wanted me. And he was kind of pushing me to go there, and it ended up totally transforming my life. But I went to Kenya for 2 weeks, and on that third or second, I believe it was the second day there, I ended up getting baptized in some village, just in the middle of nowhere. And I just had experiences there, and I just kind of encountered God on that trip, and things started to click and make sense. And that place has a super, super special spot in my heart. And just having the opportunity to meet people there who have, in the physical realm, have absolutely nothing, like nothing. I mean, I saw kids walking around with no clothes, no shoes, on rocky, thorny, gravelly ground, playing soccer with a thing of trash that they formed into a circle soccer ball, and they were smiling and laughing, and they were just so full of joy, and that totally changed my life, and it still has. And I thought, I got back when I got back a year ago. I'm like, maybe this will wear off, and it's 365 days later, and I still catch myself like smiling or getting the chills when I'm looking through my phone, looking at the pictures from those times. And I had the opportunity actually last fall. I did a fundraiser where I ran a marathon, and we were raising money to build a basketball court at one of the orphanages that I visited there, Oasis for Orphans, which is a super, super awesome organization. They're actually based out of Chicago, here in the States, but they have 3 orphanages in Southwest Kenya. We were able to raise enough money for them to build a basketball court. They haven't built it yet because of COVID, but once all that stuff clears up, they're going to build a basketball court for the kids, which is something that I'm super excited about. I'd love to go back. I wanted to go back this summer. It didn't happen because of the circumstances. I'm going to look to go back next summer. But I guess that's just kind of how I'm merging basketball and my faith now. I'd love to kind of give those kids the same opportunities that I had, because seeing these kids, playing soccer with a ball of trash like in the street, and like still being happy, and then like seeing kids here in America who are upset because they don't have the new pair of Nikes and Adidas sneakers. It really puts things in perspective. So Kenya has a special place in my heart, and a place that I'm still very connected with, and I can't wait to go back. I'd love to maybe lead my own trip there one day and get to different countries in Africa and do some basketball stuff over there. But that was 100%. That is where God totally transformed my life, did a complete 180 from where I was when I showed up on that first day in June. And so it was awesome, and I love it.
Who would have known a little basketball can change so many lives, right?
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Using basketball as a platform to reach others for Christ. Man, that's awesome. Yeah. Hey, Mike, I appreciate so much for you being on here. You shared a lot of great information, a lot of great things about just being a Division I college athlete, about your faith and combining it all. And I hope that other people are encouraged. Hope that those watching are encouraged. And if you have any more information to Mike, you can let him know. I will put his Instagram account of his basketball development business in the link below. And I hope that everyone enjoyed this conversation. Mike, any last words for those kids trying to get to over in USA to play some college hoops?
Just it's got to be every day. You got to keep working, and you got to have faith. There's only so much you can do. God's blessed you with a talent, and you just got to go out and work every single day and leave it up to Him.
Playing for Him, definitely. All right, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks again, Mike, and we appreciate you. See you soon. Hopefully in Europe, right?
For sure, yeah.
Awesome.